In this video, you create a glazing bead and control its visibility and level of detail with parameters. You also place handles on the door panel and associate the hardware to a material parameter. We'll begin by opening an existing family. On the Revit home screen, let's select Open. In the Open dialog box, we'll go ahead and select Door Panel Hardware.rfa and select Open. This particular family opens in the 3D view. We'll begin by creating a sweep to represent our glazing bead. The glazing bead is going to be formed from a sweep and utilising a profile that's already loaded into this family. On the Create ribbon in the Forms panel, go ahead and select Sweep. On the Modify Sweep Context ribbon in the Workplane panel, we'll select Pick Path. We'll now select the edge of our glazing panel. Let's begin by selecting the bottom edge of the panel. We'll then select the remaining 3 edges and now we have a completed path. You'll notice that the profile plane is added to the first path we pick. On the Context ribbon, we'll then go ahead and select Finish Edit Mode. On the Context ribbon in the Sweep panel, we now have the option of selecting a profile. As I said previously, this profile is already loaded into this RFA family. We'll go ahead and select Glazing Bead Profile, and you can now see that the profile has attached itself to the origin, and currently it's in the right orientation. However, if you was required to change this, on the options bar, you can see that we can change the rotation angle as well as the X and Y offsets. In this example, we're ready to complete the sweep, so on the Context ribbon, we can select Finish Edit Mode. The sweep is now generated. Whilst the sweep is still selected, in the Properties palette, we can associate a material. Let's select Associate Family Parameter. And here we'll associate this to a panel material and select OK. We'll now repeat that process for the opposite side of the door panel. To repeat the command, we'll right mouse click and in the context menu we'll select Repeat Solid Sweep. On the Context ribbon we'll select Pick Path and once again we'll select the inside profile of our glazing panel. Again, you'll see that I've begun with the bottom of our glazing panel. And again, we'll work our way around to create a closed profile. You can also see the profile plane is positioned at the first edge we've selected. On the Context ribbon, we'll select Finish Edit Mode. And again, on the Modify Sweep Context ribbon in the Sweep panel, we'll select our preloaded profile, Glazing Bead Profile. We'll then finish the Edit mode and once again associate a material. In the Properties palette, we'll select Associate Family Parameter, and again we'll associate this to the panel material. So you can now see our glazing bead is complete for our door panel. We'll now place some door handles on our panel. To do this, we'll switch to the floor plan. In the project browser, under the Floor Plans folder, let's open up the reference level. We'll then zoom into our door panel. To place out the door handles, if we look in the project browser under the Families folder, we can see that we have a category for doors, and under this we have a handle lever, and you'll notice that the family type is simply called Standard. We'll drag and drop this onto our reference level. We'll then snap to the intersection of these 2 reference planes here to place out our first handle. To create the other handle, we'll simply mirror this. So first, we'll press Escape twice to exit the Place Component command. We'll then select the handle that we've already placed. And on the Modify Doors Context ribbon, we'll select Mirror Pick Axes. We'll then select the central reference plane within our door panel, and you can see that we now have that mirrored door handle on the opposite side. Of course, simply by placing these and mirroring them doesn't mean that they have constraints. So we'll need to now ensure that the handle is constrained correctly. To do this, on the Context ribbon, we'll select the Align tool. Let's begin by ensuring that our handle is aligned to the outside face of our door panel. To do this, we'll select this reference plane here, Currently, you can see that the Align tool is trying to align to the solid geometry. We want to make sure that we're aligning to the handle. So we'll press the Tab key once, and we can now see from the tooltip that we're aligning to the handle lever. We'll then go ahead and left click. Of course, this is automatically constrained. If we take a look on the Align panel, we can see that the lock function is already checked for us. We'll then repeat that for the opposite side. So we'll select this reference plane here. Again, we'll use the Tab key to ensure that we're actually aligning to the correct family, which in this case is the handle lever. And again, you can see that it's automatically constrained for us. Let's now ensure that the handle is also constrained in its horizontal movement. To do this, we'll select this reference plane here. And here you can see that we have a reference plane associated with the handle lever. We'll select this, and of course that's now automatically constrained. We'll repeat that for the family on the opposite side of the door panel. Let's now exit the Align tool, so we'll press Escape twice, and we'll now check this in the 3D view. So we'll switch to View 1, and of course we can now see our door panel with our vision panel, beading, and our door handle. If we wanted to change the height or the horizontal offset of the handle, we can simply do that through its type properties. Let's select the handle lever, and if we take a look into the properties palette, we can see here we have Edit Type. We'll select Edit Type, and in the Type Properties dialog, you can see that two parameters are set up to control the handle's height in the Z distance and also the offset in the X distance. I'm going to amend the handle's X distance. We'll change this from 2.5 inches to 2 inches. And we'll go ahead and click Apply. In the Type Properties dialog, you can also see that the material for our handle lever is automatically associated for us. Again, we can check what this is associated to by selecting Associate Family Parameter. And I can see here, this is actually associated to a parameter called Hardware Material. Let's click OK to the Type Properties dialog. We'll now turn our attention to the control of level of detail. On the View Control bar, you'll note here that we have 3 levels of detail that we can set both in the Family Editor and our project. This controls how much detail we see at the project level. We'll begin by looking at the settings on our door handles. So I'll select this handle here, and then I'll rotate the door panel around, hold the Control key down and select the one on the opposite side. On the Modified Door Context ribbon in the Visibility panel, I'll select Visibility Settings. Here, you'll note by default that the element is visible in both plane and the elevations, as well as being displayed in coarse, medium and a fine level of detail. In our example here, we don't want these handles to display in a plane view, and also if we look at any view in a coarse level of detail, we don't want to see those door handles. I'll then click OK to the Family Element Visibility Settings dialog. We'll now do a very similar thing for our door beading. So we'll select the beading here, and again I'll select it on the opposite side by holding down the Control key. On the Mode panel, let's select Visibility Settings. And in a similar way, we'll actually make sure that this isn't visible in a plane. And again, I don't really want to see this if I'm viewing the model in a coarse level of detail. We'll then select OK to the dialog. Now the next thing we want to do is actually test this functionality. So on the View Control bar, let's now select Preview Visibility and we'll toggle this on. To test our functionality, we'll go to the Level of Detail control and we'll begin by going into a coarse level of detail. Of course here we can actually see that our door handles and the glazing beading is suppressed. If we set that to medium or a fine level of detail, we'll then see that further detail. And of course that would also be true in a plane. So let's switch our view to the plane reference level. Currently you can actually see that this is switched off because we're in a coarse level of detail, and in fact we'll never see the door handles or the glazing beads in plane purely because we've told those elements never to display in a plane view. Okay, let's switch back to our 3D view, and on the View Control bar we'll deactivate our Preview Visibility.